Hi Year 12, this is just a really quick video to help you with this week's work on functions. Now there are ultimately 4 types of functions. The first is a one-to-one function. What that means is for each x value it only gives you one y value. Okay, see it as being the 1 and the 1 is kind of like the x's on this side and the y's on this side and how many options we have. So if we have a one-to-one, that's going to be something like that. That's a straight line graph. Quite a few functions, quite a few graphs, quite a few things that we'll see are one-to-one. If we get a many-to-one, what that means is there are many x values that translate to one y value. So a quadratic is a many-to-one, a cubic like this is a many-to-one because there's many x values, but there's only one y value that they go to. Then we have the next one, which is a one-to-many. So that's one x value going to many other y values. An example of that would be something like the square root of x. If we square root x, we can, for example, square rooting 9, we'd get 3 or negative 3. Okay, there's 2 possibilities. All right, so a one-to-many means one x value leads us to many y values. But for each of those y values, if we were to draw a horizontal line across, okay, it would only ever go to one x value. And finally, we end up with something like a many-to-many. That would be something like a circle, for example, parabolas, anything like that, sort of circle or an ellipse, something like that. Okay, because what we have is multiple two x values going to a y value, and then also 2 y values for a single x value. So that would be a many-to-many. So those are the 4 types of functions we see. Now, interestingly, one of the things that you're going to look at is an inverse function. Okay, that's like when we change the subject, instead of making it y equals, we make it x equals. Okay, in A level, we say that something can only be an inverse function if it is a one-to-one function. Okay, so for example, if we had something like this, while this is a function, it would not be able to have an inverse. Okay, because it is a many-to-one function. So what we would do is we'd have to limit the x values, and this is something that you're going to start to see for certain functions. We're going to limit the x values. So here, if we said that x was greater than or equal to 0, suddenly we don't have any of that. At this point, we only have that bit there, in which case, even though it's y equals x squared, it would now be a one-to-one function by limiting the domain. Okay, and also there are 2 key words that we're going to come up here with: domain and range. The domain is essentially the x values. Okay, the domain is where the curve exists. What are the numbers that can go into it to make it happen? So this bit here is your domain. Okay, so the x values essentially, in the simplest way to think about it, where it exists. The range, okay, this is just the range of answers that we might get. So for a quadratic here, we would say that the domain here for this y equals x squared, where x is greater than or equal to 0, we would say that the domain is x greater than or equal to 0. Okay, the range of answers, we would say that f of x is greater than or equal to 0, because that's all the places, the f of x, the y value of what it could be. There are also composite functions. That's when you apply one operation, apply what's in one function, and then when you get your answer, you might put it into the same one, or you might put it into a different one, and you'll see notation like f of x or g of x. But those are the basics for today. The textbook does go through it fairly well. If there are specific questions, please get back to me. Have a good week, and there will be some homework that's being set this week that needs to be done for after half term. I hope you have a good week off as well, and I hope you do get to have a bit of a week off and have a little bit of a break. Thank you for those of you that have been working hard to try and keep up and to do your best to do that. Okay, thank you, have a good half term and have a good week this week. Bye.